Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
The other day, I was going, I saw my reflection in the Jewel Osco window, and I was in Bermuda shorts, plaid everywhere, white socks, sandals, and a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. And I was going, I don't care.
Welcome to the Comedians in Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, Nick Sundberg. Nick, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy, okay. This is Nicholas Sundberg, known as the Voice Master. Okay. Um, tell me a little about yourself. Okay, no, that let me reverse that. About in the 80s, 90s, had a career going in voice work, comedy, nothing big in comedy. I did a lot of the improv. Most of my comedy was improv. But I was pretty successful to the point in voice work, LA, New York, Chicago, Toronto. Did some minor acting, had minor parts in about seven features. Did radio, a lot of radio announcing. Come on down quickly, get your free t-shirt. Okay, fine. And but life kind of gives you changes in the route along the way, and had to leave the business and help out some family members in our construction business, thinking, as you know, you're going to get right back to it. And then, as that one song goes, like The Rock by Bob Seger, 10, 20 years just flies on by. I retired from the construction business about a year ago, and a friend of mine started a studio called 10U Studios, which is a startup, and they publish books. I helped them edit a book. It's now on Amazon called They Killed My Wife, Barnes and Noble, and he is in the process of, and has a real good chance of maybe turn it into a vertical movie or a Netflix stream. And so he, at one point, he goes, I remember you telling me you used to do voices. And I said, I did. And so he gave me two characters and I voiced them. And then he had me do some other voices, and I got the flame back. I got the urge back. And so I brought back to life Nicholas Sundberg, the voice master, and it's been going great. I've been doing gigs. Here's I got your background so you can't see, but I turned my whole office here into a studio with the foam padding. And oh, by the way, your background does not look like an elevator. I thought I would tell you that. I've never been in an
Does
elevator. Yeah, not yours, or well, yours doesn't either, but mine that you had me do down with the stage and it looks like an orchestra. I've never been in an elevator that looked that way, ever.
so it's evolving. This is a work in progress. It's gonna, it's
Okay.
gonna turn into something. Yeah, it's the consistency. That's kind of the main point that there's
I
the
like
same
it.
look over
And
episodes.
considering I'm an IT and computer idiot, I'm actually quite shocked. I got it up there.
Well, you must have a newer computer because that's usually what makes it difficult.
I
So,
think so. And also I got a smart wife. So that
ah,
that
there you
that
go.
that helps.
You don't
So
need
I'm
the
back.
smartphone if you got the smart wife.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Sweetie, can you help me? I don't know what I'd be doing. But the voice acting business is going very, very well. I'm doing some writing again. So like Michael Jordan once said, I'm back. Oh, I
Awesome.
also,
Well,
so you know a little bit more about me too, is also I've been doing martial arts for 55 years. Actually, I'm a sixth degree Shihan in the martial art of Kempo. So that has been a huge part of my life. So that's it in a nutshell. I was going to say a Reader Digest version, but you look young, and most nobody knows what the hell Reader's Digest is anymore.
well, it's like TV Guide, right?
Exactly. I was talking to some students the other day, he said about my art, and I said, well, we teach you how to fight in a phone booth. And it was just like,
Right.
what? Phone booth?
Phone booth, exactly. You're
Yeah.
like, you haven't
So
seen that movie? That was only
yes,
2016.
that's right. I mean, so
So,
it's official. It's
yeah.
official. I'm older than dirt.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's resurrect and see what we can do. So, you ready to get started, Nick?
Absolutely.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see that 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comments section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build, and we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me. All right, so the whole point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the
Mhm.
comedian who's a funny person telling any jokes. So, Nick, would you agree that you start as a comic and evolve into a comedian?
No, I would say I started as a comedian and touch on a comic. My comedy was never like just stand up and tell jokes. And also, I do think I love this concept. I do because I think for the most part, I think they have the unique traits, but I think they bleed into each other so much. But I would say
Yeah.
I'm a comedian. I started in high school, or grade school, typical class clown shit. I was skinny and ugly, couldn't get a date for my life, save me, so I was the funny guy. But I based all my humor on doing funny voices. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and in any situation, I like to see a situation and immediately make it funny. Whether, I mean, I've gone through some health issues. I had a brain tumor. And how did I get through? By making my brain tumor funny. That's the way the Sundberg family always deals with tragedy. We make a joke about it. If you can laugh about it, how serious can it be? So I would say I'm more of a comedian, improv,
Mm-hmm.
and if I do tell a straight joke, I will incorporate voices, and I like to tell stories, okay? Um, I'm not that good. I get bored, and I'm kind of like Robin Williams. I want to bounce all over the place, which pisses a lot of people off at funerals, but it's what I like to do. So I would view myself more along the comedian, if that makes sense.
Got it. So you don't do practical jokes at funerals?
Oh, I have, and it doesn't go well. That's how I know. They,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, the
So,
widow just doesn't find humor in it.
that makes sense. So, Nick, you ready for the first question?
I am.
All right. So it's about the role of persona in comedy. So how much of the comedian's voice is a character versus their real self?
I think it's I think it's almost all. The character that I do, I am becoming that person. I base a lot of it on my youth. I grew up in Elmwood Park. So this is probably going to sound like Sebastian. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's very big. He's from Chicago, Arlington Heights. Well, hey, how
Hmm.
you doing? Forget about it. Swear to God, we're gonna go to Johnny's Beef. We want a hot
Hmm.
and juicy bag of carpet to travel, and I'll do whole stories with that voice. But I am becoming that character. Okay. So
Hmm.
when I do it, and I think I can speak for other ones, they become that character. So I
Right.
think the voice and the character, if you're going to sell it, okay, if it's going to make sense, you have to be that character. I do believe.
Oh yeah. Most people, I don't see anyone that would disagree. When you put on a voice, all of a sudden the character comes through because the truth comes out of the sound, right?
Exactly. And you can say stuff that your normal self would probably not get away with, but as Nikki Bowl of Jello, how you doing? You know, you can say more. So if you're, and again, I think comedy, it's a sales process. Okay, you're selling the character, you're selling the story, and thusly, if you do that correctly, you're also selling the joke. And if you don't believe in the character, then I don't think you can sell the joke. I really don't.
Well, they're disconnected until you put them together, and then you at least you have. I mean, the joke can technically still be funny, even if your character
Yes,
sucks. It's a little weird, but it's
yeah,
possible.
it's possible, but again, the Sebastian Maniscalco is that I think it's
Maniscalco.
like
Maniscalco.
yeah, he's funnier than shit. But I think if he just got up there with a dry voice and didn't do
Oh,
his physical comedy, his jokes would not be funny. You might
correct.
get a
Yeah.
chuckle or a tee hee, but you're not going to get the belly laugh. I
Right.
mean,
So he would be a comedian, not a comic.
no, exactly. He
Yeah.
tells, yeah, I don't think he even tells, no, he doesn't tell comic jokes. He tells
Right.
stories and he improvises, the way he works the front people in the audience. And I think his show, he has his basic show. He's just got his basic stories he wants to tell, unlike a his last name is Black. He's was big a few years ago. But you see those guys, they have notes with all their jokes. And they go through their jokes and then they tell the next joke. Somebody like him, or if I was on stage, we just go. I never know what the hell I'm going to say,
Ah.
which again has gotten me in a lot of problems. Don't worry, I got some filters on today. It's all good.
Fair enough. Speaking
Thank you.
of, how about punching up versus punching down? So, where do comics versus comedians subscribe to this? And let me put it in some historical context. Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Now, how would you consider that punching down? Is that what you're saying? Punching down would
Well,
be
I think that might be an example. Yeah.
um I think punching down, if I'm understanding this, is you're making fun of other people and other people's situations. Um, I would like to hear your definition of punching up, if that's okay. Put you on the,
Well, arguably, this could be an example, of punching up because if the comedian basically the jester is a comic, arguably, right?
right.
So if you kill him and you take his place, maybe if you're not exactly the same, you could say you've elevated to a higher position. Very metaphorical, but
I
it's
gotcha.
arguably so. Generally, people say you punch up to the president, like you punch, just to make jokes about Trump because he's the president. It's technically punching up, even though you're looking down on him when you're doing it. So there's two ways
Yes.
of going with that, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
No, I like it. Also, I just thought made me think of an old Buddhist saying, which could open up all plethora of discussion metaphysically, but there's a saying that says when you meet the Buddha on the pathway, kill him. And you'll think about that. You'll think about that. I guarantee it. So,
so is
so
that
I,
punching
I
up
think
or down?
I would say that's punching up. You are then not so much in comedy, but you're punching up. If you kill him, you then become in your universe the Buddha.
Got it. Okay, I see what you're saying. So then is
You be,
criticizing dead people considered punching down?
yeah, I would
Okay.
think so. It's fun. They can't punch back.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
Okay,
So
how about cultural translation of comedy? So how do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
I think it's in the translation. Okay. I think if the joke, the pretense is funny, okay, the joke is funny, it's going to work, but you might have to present it different to match the culture. Okay. A man in France telling jokes about his wife is pretty much going to, that's universal. Okay. So, but if there's certain cultural taboos, then maybe certain jokes you can't. But I think the one thing that's beautiful about comedy is I believe it's truly, if not the only one of the major music maybe is another one, but it's a universal language. Somebody slipping on a banana peel in Argentina is funny as somebody slipping on a banana peel in America. I mean, look at like the
So
Three Stooges.
could it be funnier if they slipped on a banana peel in Antarctica?
Yeah, because you're not expected to see a banana.
But it's
appeal?
also slipperier, is it not?
Yeah,
Potentially.
well, that's true. That is a very interesting question that opens it up. I don't think that has a yes or no.
It's got to be
Uh,
done. It's like Maniscalco. You got to do it right, and then it's comedy gold.
exactly,
All
exactly.
right.
But you just have to, I believe, before you do certain kind, let's say you go to a Muslim country, okay? There are certain jokes that are funny here that you'll probably get beheaded
For
over
sure.
there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to one of these countries and make fun of the Ayatollah. I would have missed today's podcast. But again, I think, at least to me so far, your questions, there is no black or white.
Right.
I think it's very various degree of both. Um, so I
Well, that's
think,
arguably like this is the comic and this is the comedian. So it's hard to say which side
oh,
you're really on. Which side are
I
we really on?
that's true. Or you can turn it sideways
Ah,
and bounce back and forth
yeah,
from
we could
each
just kind
side.
of, that's a kind of, all right, now we're getting weird, but this will be the new style right there, right in the middle. Can you
Exactly.
hold it?
Exactly. So, and also in improv too, in comedy, I think it's going to be important to maybe be able to switch your metal from side to side depending on the crowd.
Hmm.
Okay, we all been there where you think you're funnier than hell and you get crickets. Well,
Yeah.
are you going to stay with the same concept? Or are you going to remember a funny story or maybe create a funny story about why they're not laughing? Okay,
That's
so
always a good one to have in your back pocket. It can, in
exactly,
case when your material isn't failing, you're like, this is why it's not funny. And they're like, that's not why I think it's not funny. And then people start to laugh. It's pretty,
exactly. You find the
yeah.
nerve. Okay. So I don't think you should like have that tattooed on one side on your body. I think you need to be able to I think with comedy, you have to be flexible because you might put on the same show one night and it's a total bomb, and you very little, but we basically do the same show for another audience, and it's freaking hilarious. So in midstream, I think you have to go back and forth
All right. So
because
how about love and justice? So is the
ooh,
highest function of yeah, is the highest function of comedy to expose injustice or to make people feel less alone while living with it?
Jesus Christ, I don't have to go to therapy this afternoon. That's a very good question. I think it would be injustice. I mean, obviously, in today's world, political comedy is gold. I mean, you're given a platter of gifts. You can't swing at it. But is that going to make people comfortable or uncomfortable? I personally think maybe in certain areas of comics, like a Don Rickles type, the thing you want to do is make them uncomfortable and find the humor in their faults.
Mhm.
So again, I don't think you can do one or the other. I think it's like an orchestra. Like in my background, that's my comic orchestra, and I'm the conductor, and you start to feel the audience. Do I have to pick up the pen? Or if you say a joke that you think is funny, that's kind of going to cut deep in justice. That's why I think it's very dangerous to go into like um, racial humor. That is a very dangerous plane, and you can make them uncomfortable, but they might not laugh. They might wait for you once you get off the stage. So, but I think I'm trying to think. I can't even think right off the top of my head. Maybe you can of a comedian that is more or less trying to make the people feel more comfortable, more love. I really,
Mm. Very rarely. It's usually, you want to push everybody to one side of the boat and
hmm
then quickly get them to the other side of the boat, right? And that's your kind of method, right? And then or they realize when you actually like, actually you were always on this side of the boat. I just jumped over and now the whole thing flipped over. So
yeah, and now some of you fell off into the water and we'll never see you again.
exactly.
So, I mean, all comedy, I think in many respects, there's differences, But I mean, that's why let's be honest. Most great comedians are severely depressed. I'm not because I have gummies and scotch, so I'm fine. But they're all depressed, and I think comedy comes from pain. I really do, and that's
Yeah.
why I find it very therapeutic. Um, I, in all my endeavors, have never come across a really truly happy comedian.
Hmm.
I mean, look at Robin Williams. I mean, look at Jonathan Winters, some of the best comedians, and they were all severely depressed. So they know how to, but then maybe this is
Beady,
where the
beady,
love
beady.
comes in. Maybe. So they know pain. They know how to poke the pain in you, and then they make you laugh at it. So you maybe that just kind of came to me. Maybe that is the process. Come from pain, make the audience feel the pain, then relieve the pain by making them laugh at it.
I would agree with that. So, very important question, Nick. Advertising and self promotion. So, who advertises themselves more, the comic, the comedian, or the magician? You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast to get the message out today. See you soon.
Are you sure you didn't go to study with Freud?
A little bit,
These are
yes.
good, and I'm not blowing smoke up your butt.
Carl
Um,
Jung.
there you go. Um, self-promotion. I think obviously you have to have self-promotion in whichever venue. Uh, I think uh, I think the comedian can self-promote more because he can do, especially today, he can do his TikToks, he can do this, he can do that, he can, get on LinkedIn with his blurbs and his reels. Whereas I think more people are going to turn into that if he's like going nuts versus a comic. Because I find a comic, in my mind, I think of somebody that's very dry. Okay. That's just, I don't find comics that funny. So maybe they have to promote themselves well. I mean, what are they going to do? Do a blurb and do two, three jokes, in a straight voice. You got a comic, they're crazy. You're going to go, okay. A magician, I think a comedian has to be a magician too. Okay, you have to create magic out of nothing. You have to create magic out of pain. You have to create magic out of sorrow. Maybe the comic is doing the same thing, but I think so. I think you have to. I would say you'd have to promote. The comedian would have to self-promotion first, magician because there's so many styles of magic, card magic, grand illusions, so that people know what to expect. And then the stand-up comic, I think almost the only self-promotion he can do is just perform more and more so he gets a following. Is where
Absolutely.
a comedian, I think same thing, but the comedian can come out of acting, okay? A comic actor, that's promotion you know. Um, so I would say comedian first, magician second, comic third.
All right. All right. So, Nick, what don't you want me to know about you?
Wait, is my wife here? I hope not. Um, I would say I wouldn't want you to know the younger me.
Hmm.
I've
Interesting.
come I was not the greatest younger me. That's why I have three divorces, and that's why I'm still working because So I was self-centered, very egotistical, um, arrogant. Okay. And that cost me a lot in relationships and that with age, health issues, and just age,
Mhm.
you get to the point, you know, where you really don't give a frick. You just don't. And that has brought me a lot of peace. I've had doctors tell me I have hard to kill, I beat brain tumors, heart attacks, blah, blah, blah. And you just realize, and so I've been told by many people, what happened to you? Age. I mean, a perfect example is I used to make fun of old people who go into the store. The other day, I was going, I saw my reflection in the Jewel Osco window, and I was in Bermuda shorts, plaid everywhere, white socks, sandals, and a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. And I was going, I don't care. So yeah, I try now to leave who I was. Um, and I think the only way you can do that, at least for me, and I think, death as a metaphor is used so much in comedy. Okay, it
I
really
like it.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think I had to basically almost die and then come back to life. A perfect example, and this isn't funny, I apologize, but a good friend of mine in the martial arts was one of the most famous Navy SEALs, held the record for the most kills with his bare hands. Okay. He went to Vietnam, as a lot of people my age did, and he just went over there, young kid from Chicago, and he ended up in battle, and he had to become a ruthless killer, no motion. Now, with the modern age in World War II, like when my father came back from Normandy, it was like 3 weeks on the ship. He had time. My friend came back from Vietnam, and 12 hours later, he's at 7-Eleven trying to pick up coffee. At last, he realized, this isn't good. I
Hmm.
can't be this person. So, what he did different is then he went back because the first time, like I said, he was in this living hell, got on a plane, went back because he during his stint he put in all of his what do you call it, leave. The
Hmm.
second time he went back, he took no leave until the end. Then he took like 4 weeks and went to Japan. And this is when he said, because the way I survived going there the first time, he said, on the airplane ride over there, let's call him Bill. Bill, died. So how could they hurt me? I'm already dead.
Right.
And so when he had all this leave in Japan, that person died, and the original Bill came to life. Now, what does that have to do with comedy? Is I think sometimes to be funny, you have to kill yourself, kill your persona,
Hmm.
come back to life as somebody different, even if you're just doing improv. I mean, I think I'm a funny guy because I make people laugh everywhere I go. But is that really me? I also like my quiet reserve time. Now, my comedy when I was young was angry, angry.
Hmm.
Uh, but I couldn't pull it off like a Richard Pryor. So now I think I'm a nice guy, and I think my comedy and my acting and my voice work um changes. Does any of that make sense?
It does, absolutely. So, speaking
Okay.
of making sense, Nick, are you ready to enter the multiverse?
Okay, sure.
All
I'm
right.
ready. Let's bring it on.
All right. So, board game Zoomcast, play versus performance. So, you have to choose an avatar. So, if
Okay.
comedy were a board game Zoomcast, are you competing as the colorist avatar, adding tone, mood, and shading, or the Foley artist avatar, building punchlines with soundscapes and timing?
No, the colorist.
All right. So
Colorist,
then
without a
does
doubt.
comedy work better when it's painted vividly or when it's orchestrated sonically?
Sonically, it needs
Okay.
it needs to blur. Okay. Because if I do something and it's set in stone, let's say the old slip on a banana, okay, you're slipping up, that's set.
Hmm.
Okay, but I like to paint the picture how the banana peel get there and that and that. So now it's not a single event, it's a blur to then will also I like to take this quote unquote joke or story. I love to tell stories. And then in my mind, it all of a sudden it segues into something completely different. So I believe in fluidity in comedy. I just do because my mind in the Eastern thoughts we call it monkey brain. That's why you try to meditate. Is a monkey brain is oh my God, this it's over here in this branch. Oh, it's over here and over. That's me. And if I were to stick on one branch, I don't think I'd be funny for long.
That's a good point. All right, so Nick, here on the Comedians and Elevators podcast, we have a tradition where the previous guest asks a question for the next guest. And the previous guest was Emmanuel J.D. Simon. And his question for you, Nick, is what makes you happy the most? Is it your passion or is it life itself?
Well, I don't think you have life itself if you don't have passion. I really do. Without passion, what is there? Okay. So I would have to say I would go with passion. Um, and I do now. I mean, like I said, I've got fibromyalgia, I got all the other stuff. And without passion, how do I find life so freaking fun? And I do. All right, like this morning, my hands were like this, and I made a whole story about things you can't do properly when your hands are curled up. And so I find passion in my illness. I find passion in things that don't go right, and that's how I find that's how I then find I fill. All right, let me put it this way, maybe simpler. I fill my life with passion.
All right, that's the way to do it. All right, so Nick, last question. Legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comics tight five survive time, or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
I think easily the latter. Let's look at George Carlin. Okay, he's not a comic. He started out as a comic, but he, segued pretty quickly into comedian. And I think, this is my personal opinion, you can look at, and how long has he been dead now? I don't even know, 15 years. I mean, it's been a long time. And um, you can look at any of his specials, and they're timeless.
Yeah.
His political humor matches today, probably maybe more so than it did back then. His racial humor, all of his observational humor, because you know what? The fallacies are what is the word I'm trying to look for? I have a good memory, but it's short. But mankind has been making the same stupid mistakes when they were cavemen.
Hmm.
Okay. And they but so you can tell jokes are jokes. So that's why I love the Marx Brothers. Of course, this is another one that people look at me like I'm from outer space. I mean, Groucho Marx, now they, I think, were one of the groups that went back and forth. They told a story and this and that, but they had to like, when he came into court with a ladder, I want to take this to a higher court. It's just that um, I can watch a Marx Brothers and it's timeless. Robin Williams, timeless. Don Rickles. People are stupid and do the same stupid things, except now they do it faster with. So yeah, I that would be my answer if that kind of holds true.
All right, awesome.
I just don't want to
Well,
see in your face, this guy is a maniac. I don't know what he's talking about.
oh no, that's what we do want. So I don't know, we're getting close to it. So
Yes.
so Nick, where can everybody find you online?
Okay, right now I've got a big profile on Backstage. I have a huge presence on LinkedIn. I'm not much of a TikToker because I'm old and it confuses me. And I did a couple podcasts for some friends, and I think the average age was 12. And they go, let's do a battle. I'm going, well, we're going to put my gloves on, I'm going to beat you up. What are you talking about a battle? So LinkedIn, like I said, Tenure Studios is working to make either a vertical or a six-part for uh, uh, Netflix or feature film. I will hopefully play, that. I did a lot of voice work for their promos. Their audiobook, which, by the way, if you go to Audible and listen to the audiobook, they kill my wife. I have two voices on there. Um, and I've got right now, since I've just really started getting back into this a year or so ago, I'm amazed at how many people I'm amazed at how many people remember me that aren't dead, but that they're still around. So there's a lot of things I can't say right now, but I'm actually gonna be, well, this I can say. There's a magazine. It's a very good magazine. It's out of Britain called Great Vibes, and it's all about the entertainment industry. They're going to do a cover story about me. I'm being interviewed next week, and then I'll be on their podcast. So my universe is expanding again, but right now, LinkedIn, backstage, I'm working on Twine. And I'm hoping that some of my work now is going to start showing up. My voices have been. I've been doing some commercials that a lot of people probably already heard my voice, but pretty soon they're going to get to see my really good looking face.
Oh, that's the way to do it. Awesome. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Thank you so much for being my guest, and for everyone, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay. Hey, aren't I supposed to ask a question for the next person?
You are, and we're going to do it. If you're interested in too much information like in the network state or Mantipus the chicken shit, check out this video. Or is it this one right here? Well, either way. Lizard.